so honoured. Even on behalf of New Zealand, I think I feel honoured kind of like to welcome Gary Vaynerchuk.
Thank you.
And as you guys know, that this is the guy's model that I kind of replicated in New Zealand, so I feel slightly indebted to.
You did.
I do feel indebted to you.
That's very kind.
So I wanted to kind of like just taste a couple of wines with you.
Sure.
Some of the wines that I think are they're kind of almost the pinnacles of what we're producing right now. From, I mean, everybody talks about Central Otago Pinot, so I bought a Martinborough Pinot.
Yep.
Yeah, and obviously Marlborough's getting a bit of a kind of hammering right now because of overproduction and.
That's a common theme around the whole world.
It is.
Supply and demand.
Yeah.
Dangerous, slippery slope.
Yeah. So have you got much of an interest in New Zealand wine? Do you stock much in your shop?
Oh yeah, we do. We probably carry about over 100 SKUs, 150 SKUs. We carry, for example, we were carrying 4 years ago 8 to 10 Central Otago Pinot Noirs. So we were very early on that trend.
Yeah.
We were very early on the Sauvignon Blanc train. I mean, I created the first Sauvignon Blanc section of my family's business in 1998.
Right,
so
okay.
we've been following this. Both of these producers are producers I know extremely well. As a matter of fact, I'm a very big fan of their high-end Cabernet-based blend.
The Quarry.
The Quarry.
Yeah.
And St. Clair was probably the first 5 Sauvignon Blancs we carried along. With Kim Crawford and back those Babbage those days. And so, it's a category we were excited about. We've done a lot with Pinot. We've pushed that envelope a lot, and right now we're trying to really push the Pinot Gris. We think that that's a varietal that New Zealand has a lot of great terroir and an opportunity to own and do well. Eric Arnold, who wrote a great book about New Zealand, very good
made
friend
into
of
a
mine.
film.
Yes.
I speak to him quite a bit on Twitter.
He's a very, very dear friend of mine. I've had him on the show. We talked about New Zealand wine. So, this is a category one of the first wines I ever bought at my dad's store or told him to buy in 1994 was Morton Black Label, Sauvignon Blanc. So this is a country that I have a lot of, respect for. My brother-in-law is obsessed with rugby, so that's a whole other thing. And so, it's a place I'm very comfortable with. I like the wines. I think the price points are good. Obviously we're in Australia, been doing a lot of business talking with wines of Australia. I was talking about their overproduction issues. Of course, like anything, they're like, well, New Zealand has overproduction with Sauvignon Blanc, but I think New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc's demand in the U.S. is still quite strong.
Right, okay. So you haven't seen a dip?
We've seen a slight dip.
Right, okay.
I think the biggest competitor to New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc today in the U.S. market is Argentinian Tarantas.
Yeah.
I think they need to pay attention to what's going on there. But, the wines still do quite well. I think New Zealand has a nice positioning.
Are they considered a premium product?
Not yet.
Because in the UK they are.
But they're not considered a shit product either. Can I say that on the show?
Yeah.
So it's.
You say whatever you want.
I don't think it's a bad place to be. I think the Pinot Noirs have been established as a premium product.
Yeah.
But the consumption hasn't been big enough yet because within the U.S., unlike the UK, we have Willamette Valley, Oregon Pinot Noirs that get a lot of attention that are in that same $30 to $50 price range.
Which your friend Brian was saying last night, they thought they were slightly overrated.
Solus.
Yeah.
Well, he's not a wine guy. And so, just kidding. No, listen, everybody has their own palate. Yeah. There's a lot of people, listen, we just sold a 3 Minors Pinot Noir.
Oh, yeah.
And we pushed it hard. I loved it. And a lot of people came back and said it was very overrated. So, it just comes down to the palates out there. That being said, I think there's a lot of opportunity for different varietal whites.
Yeah.
I think Gewurz and Riesling and Pinot Gris are things that I'm paying attention to. And I think Cabernet Merlot blend wines from New Zealand have
from the Hawke's Bay, from the Gimlet.
1,000,000,000%. I think Hawke's Bay is a place that if I was to start making wine in New Zealand, I would look at very carefully because I think the potential is much greater than I think people are recognizing.
I mean, we always kind of laugh and joke about the film Sideways and how it kind of pretty much dropped the value of Merlot globally.
Yeah.
I mean, some kind
and
of
exploded Pinot Noir.
Yeah, exploded Pinot Noir, and we still haven't recovered from that mentality in New Zealand yet. We're on such a kind of Pinot bent right now. Everything's got to be central.
Right.
It would account for Central Otago Pinot would account for 50% of our red wines sold.
I believe it.
And we're still on a good Sauvignon kind of rise, and that's still.
How are Australian wines doing in New Zealand?
Plummeted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just like everywhere else.
Just like everywhere else. They're not. Apart from you get a few kind of iconic labels, which are seen as purely that iconic labels that still retain the value.
Yep.
The rest of it is sub-20 wine that is purely quaffing wine, and it doesn't have a value as such.
I understand.
And so the sales have dropped on the back of that. Also, living in a winemaking country such as New Zealand, we like to support our own.
Of course, local.
We're isolated. Yeah,
absolutely.
Local. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
let's taste some wine,
yes,
because his hands are going to get tired. He's already switched off the knee. He's
Jesus, I've poured you quite a bit actually.
It's okay. I'm not scared.
So what else have you been doing out here?
You know, I've been, obviously I've now just spoke at this tech conference. That was the main reason I was coming out. Obviously, a lot of winemakers and the association got wind of my trip. We tried to do something with New Zealand. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Matt will probably know, my assistant. But
I know what happened.
You know what happened?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, so you'll tell me maybe off camera.
Yeah,
Maybe there's
exactly.
politics.
There's always politics.
So, I don't want to hurt people's feelings.
No.
And you know, I'm going to go to Hunter's Valley tomorrow, which I'm excited about. Semillon is,
yeah.
I think, a story that needs to be told. Just like I'm passionate that Pinot Gris and Hawke's Bay needs to be told.
Interesting fact, my partner's, I think it's great granddad. Yeah, I know I've got to kind of count those. It's great something granddad. It was Archibald Hunter Thompson.
Is that right?
Who named the Hunter Valley.
That's pretty scary. That's legit.
That's legit.
That's legit.
Yeah.
So what's going on with
St.
this
Clair, Block 6 won the gold and trophy for the Royal Easter Show in New Zealand over the Easter.
Yep. Which is a
and
big deal?
It used to be an enormous deal.
Got it. So
now the Air New Zealand Wine Awards are probably the most prestigious.
Okay.
And have overshadowed the Royal Easter.
The aromatics in this wine are quite exceptional.
Yeah.
I like it quite a bit.
So well, I get grapefruit, a lot of grapefruit.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, I get a little bit of like smoky papaya, almost like if you took papaya and you put it on a grill and you lit it. So I get like a little hair of smokiness and a little bit of papaya. The grapefruit's very obvious. I agree with you. It's like, you know, that's almost given, right? Underneath that tone of grapefruit, I think you get this incredible layer of almost like tropical fruit, but like on the barbecue, like a barbecue style tropical fruit, barbecuing tropical fruit.
Never been done. Well, I haven't done it.
You're missing out. You're missing out. I know some of the viewers have, and you're laughing like, oh, you missed it.
Right. We're a barbecue nation.
Right. I mean, how could you not barbecue pineapples and mangoes and papaya?
Now I've got to swallow because I haven't got a...
Right, where's the jet spit bucket?
Yeah, exactly.
So...
I like the minerality at the end. Although I do get quite a bit of fruit sweetness.
You know, the biggest thing that jumps out to me on this wine is that it lacks a little of the acidity that I like.
Yeah.
I need a little more acid. I like my whites to have acid where, you know, as you know, razor blade, cut my tongue. That's the kind of style I like. So this lacks a little acid. I do like the fruit. I like the fruit in back end. Almost ironically, like an apple meets lychee. You ever have lychee fruit?
Yep.
Like a little.
I get the apple.
Yeah, like a little sneaky lychee on the back end for me. It's good. I like the grapefruit. It's it's warm.
Yeah.
Which is good because I like whites at room temperature. How much is it?
$24.
It's a little high for me.
That's New Zealand dollars.
Right, which would be what?
So that you'd be about 17 for you.
Okay, that falls much more in line.
Yeah.
If this was 17 retail in the U.S. market, I think that it can definitely justify that price point. It's clean.
It's very clean. One of the things I do like is I like the restraint of the acid in this wine.
Listen, I respect that. And by the way, you know, I'm sure a lot of you are seeing this and have no idea who I am and what have you. Let me just say one thing. I'm not a big shot from the U.S. or anything like that. I think that everybody needs to trust their own palate. And
you are a big shot.
Well, but, you know, I'm not. And more importantly, I very much respect people's palates. For me, I agree with you. I think, you know, a lot of wine people would look at this wine and say it's well done because the balance, the acidity and fruit is very good.
Yeah.